One quiet evening, as the jungle wind whispered through the trees, Rango found something buried beneath his porch, a strange letter, glowing faintly, sealed with wax that smelled like burnt sugar and rust. As he opened it, the words shimmered. "You are invited to the Twilight Carnival. One last show awaits." His heart beat faster. It was an invitation, but from who? Inside his dim hut, Rango showed the letter to Red. The moment Red saw it, his feathers fluffed up. "You shouldn't have touched that," he muttered. "That place had vanished years ago." But curiosity had already wrapped its fingers around Rango's mind. Outside, the trees rustled with an unnatural rhythm, and something unseen whispered their names. That night, the jungle changed. A thick white fog rolled in like a ghostly tide. Rango led the way with a lantern in hand, Red close behind. Lights flickered far ahead, spinning wheels, distant laughter. As they moved closer, the trees bent inward, and the ground became unnaturally soft, like cotton candy soaked in fear. They stepped through the iron gates of the Twilight Carnival, alive with flickering bulbs and spinning rides, but completely deserted. Booths were open, games were ready, but no people, only puppets slumped over in the shadows, their button eyes tracking Rango's every move. The air smelled like burnt popcorn and forgotten screams. A carousel spun slowly, its horses moving in slow motion. A clown mannequin smiled without sound, its mouth wide open. Rango stared, jaw tight, Red pointed. The Ferris wheel turned. Though no one was inside, the laughter echoed, but no voice could be traced. Something was watching, and whatever it was, it wanted them to stay. Inside the mirror maze, their reflections twisted. Rango looked into one mirror and saw himself, hanging like a puppet, strings attached to his limbs. Red's reflection shattered, revealing a wooden version of himself blinking slowly. They weren't just being watched, they were being copied. Each step deeper blurred the line between real and reflection. Red wandered down a dark tent hallway. The lights flickered. He heard something, his own voice, but it wasn't coming from him. "Red, come play," it whispered from behind a curtain. He moved closer. Hanging from the ceiling were wooden birds, dozens of them, all with his face. Each one smiled wider than the last. On the grand stage, a spotlight flared. A tall, faceless figure emerged, black strings floating from its fingers like spider silk. The Puppetmaster. Rango froze. The chairs in front of the stage were empty, yet invisible hands clapped. Behind the curtain, puppets swayed gently, as if breathing. The show had begun. The Puppetmaster raised one hand, and a puppet Rango dropped from the ceiling, landing upright. It moved perfectly, smiled exactly like him. Red screamed as another puppet with his beak danced behind. Rango shouted, "This isn't real," but the audience laughed louder. The stage wasn't a performance, it was a trap. Dozens of puppets came alive, moving in a haunting rhythm. Each face was familiar, creatures from the jungle, twisted and stiff. One puppet turned and had Red's face. Rango grabbed him, shaking, yelling his name, but the puppet only blinked. Around them, puppet music played, and the floor beneath them pulsed like a heartbeat. Rango looked around. Red was gone. In his place, a small wooden puppet sat on a pedestal, identical in every way, even the scratch under his left eye. Rango stepped back, breathing hard. The puppet's eye twitched. Somewhere, faintly, Red's voice whispered, "Don't leave me." But the mouth didn't move. Behind the curtain, Rango discovered shelves filled with puppet shells, hollow bodies, cracked wooden faces frozen in screams. He touched one. It shivered. Names were carved into the wall, names of animals long missing. The realization struck. These weren't just puppets. They were what was left of the last guests. He stood in the center of the carnival, wind swirling around him. Voices floated on the breeze. Dozens of them, whispers saying his name, laughing, begging. The fog circled faster. Rango fell to his knees, covering his ears, but it was inside him now, the voice of the carnival. It didn't want applause. It wanted souls. Rango ran, past the Ferris wheel, past the broken popcorn cart, past the same flickering sign, "Laugh Forever." But it didn't change, no matter how far he ran. The same path returned. The carnival was folding in on itself, reshaping around him. He wasn't lost in it. It was lost inside him. In a dark glass case, the puppet tread opened one flickering eye. "You still have time," he whispered, "but you have to destroy the strings." Rango knelt beside him, his voice shaking. How Red's puppet hand twitched. Break. The master's light. End the show. Then he went still again, and the shadows closed in. Rango gripped the rusted rails of the carnival tower, climbing into the heart of the storm. Below him, the twisted rides spun in reverse. Above him, the Puppetmaster waited, its coat flapping like black sails. The wind roared, but Rango didn't stop. He had one last chance, and in his belt, Red's slingshot was ready. The Puppetmaster moved his fingers, and a puppet of Rango danced across the stage. Every motion perfect. Rango looked into the empty seats and saw hundreds of shadowy figures clapping. Red's puppet sat in front, tears dripping silently. The show was reaching its finale, and Rango knew he had to end it. With shaking hands, Rango raised the slingshot and aimed at the spotlight above the Puppetmaster. He whispered, "This is for Red." The shot flew, and the light shattered. The Puppetmaster screamed without sound, unraveling into dust. The air exploded in white energy. All around him, puppets fell like dead leaves. The carnival groaned, and then crumbled. The Ferris wheel collapsed. Tents blew away like ash. Rango crawled through the dust, searching. Puppet pieces broke under his feet. The whispers faded. For the first time, there was silence. Red's wooden form lay still, but something was changing in the light. As dawn rose, Rango sat quietly near a broken sign, "Twilight Carnival, closed forever." The fog had lifted. Birds sang again, and beside him, Red stirred. Alive, real. They looked at each other, eyes tired but grateful. The carnival was gone, but the memories would haunt the silence forever.